part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
Welcome back, everybody, to Podcast 616, the official podcast of Earth 616. I'm your host, Damon Royster, and today we are talking about the Marvel film of all Marvel films, Guardians of the Galaxy, a.k.a. the one with the best soundtrack. Joining me today are two first-time guests, longtime friends. We are joined by writer-comedian Sophia Rafiqi. Hello, Sophia. How are you doing?
Hello. I'm so happy to be here.
Oh, God. I'm moved beyond words to have you. And we are joined by another writer-comedian and fellow LA friend, Rachel Relman.
Yes, hello. Also thrilled to be here and also to be in Los Angeles with Damon.
I think this is the first time we've hung out in months.
I know. I actually, kind of off the record, but on because we're being recorded, was going to ask if you want to hang after this and maybe get lunch if you're free.
I mean, Rachel, famously, my beach plans were canceled minutes before this podcast recording.
We'll do it. I'll text you.
Wow. Okay, cool. You heard it. You heard it here first, folks. Plans are being made. Okay. Well, you guys, let's see. Guardians of the Galaxy. Where do we begin? Where do we start? Let's go to Sophia. I want to know, what is your relationship with Marvel and how did you enjoy this film?
Yes. My relationship to Marvel is that I did not know anything about it before 2020 when a straight man gave me the willpower to sit through all of the movies and the pandemic, I guess. Thank you, Corona. And yes. I'm glad I stuck with it because now they're doing some more interesting for me stuff like Miss Marvel, and they're going into the representation game and they're not doing too bad, which is great. My main tag to this movie in particular would be that it starts the way a lot of Disney movies start, with a dead mom. And as a member of the dead mom community, personally, I found it mildly trite, mildly offensive, in fact.
Ooh. Oh my goodness.
Ooh.
Not in a serious way, but it was like, it's just one of my pet peeves as the mayor of the dead mom community, that I'm like, right in the beginning, she's like, we don't know anything about the mom, but we just want you to know that this guy's really sad and she's dying of a mystery illness. And like, the child refuses to take her hand because he's already full of toxic masculinity or something. And we don't really touch on it. I feel like it really just sets up the mixtape, which is a beautiful piece, but I wanted more for the mom, I guess, maybe.
That did hit me on this view of like, man, he really just hates touching women's hands.
Yes. He seems to kind of hate women.
A little bit. Yeah. I have lots of Chris Pratt thoughts and I'm not afraid to say them. Go to Rachel. How did you enjoy Guardians of the Galaxy? But also, what is your relationship to Marvel? I believe famously you do not have a Disney Plus account.
Yes, I do not have a Disney Plus account. I used to use a friend's Disney Plus account, but it didn't save on my computer, so I don't have it anymore. And I did pay $8 to watch this film.
Wow.
No, it's good. I'm glad I did. I did enjoy it. I have kind of an up and down relationship with Marvel. I feel like I've really enjoyed some films. I liked Spider-Man when I was a kid.
Oh yeah.
And that's Marvel, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, great.
one of the biggest. Yes.
Yeah. You know, one of the biggest titles. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
And I loved X-Men when I was a kid too. X-Men is a vibe. But in recent years, I've found myself bored with Marvel films, and my attention was in and out on this film. But I did love the space vibe, and I also want to talk about the soundtrack, because the soundtrack is chef's kiss. Very good.
Chef's kiss all around. Yes. Beautiful. Okay.
Oh, I also want to say I am not part of the Dead Mom Club. However, it was hilarious to me that it did start that way, because I feel like it is such a superhero trope to have a dead parent.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think you have to have one.
I think it's in the rule book. Yeah, you have to have.
Also, as someone who has a dead mom and no powers, did I do something wrong?
Kind of passed over you.
it's not only superhero movies. In a lot of movies, like a dead parent is a motivator for some sort of crazy experiment or task or journey.
Yes.
And I had personally never felt more demotivated in my life. So it does sometimes make me be like, maybe I'm the one and only who wasn't like, yes, now I will trek across the country and like heal
the
myself.
galaxies.
Yeah.
Yes.
Love it. Love this discourse. That's what I love. Yeah, this movie for me, this was an interesting watch because when did this come out? 2014, I believe.
Yeah, it's old.
It's old, yeah. And it felt old. It felt old watching it. I remember, like, I loved this movie when it came out, and I still do love it. I think it's still, dare I say, rocks, as the kids say. This movie
do the
rocks.
kids say that now?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm really hip with the kids these days. But it's so fun. But it's also so, it has aged. I don't want to say it's aged horribly, but I can see the wrinkles, if that makes any sense. Like, mostly for me, the thing that kind of like I found silly was like the way they were like setting up what I know to be future Marvel plots. I find them to be very like, ooh, like the whole thing is about this power stone, the little purple thing. And I'm like, yeah, that's an infinity stone. If you put all six together, you can destroy the world. Like, I know it's funny to look back at stuff that I know now that they were clearly like trying to like, ooh, what could this mean? It's a power stone. I'm like, yeah, get over yourself. It's one of the infinity stones. So that's interesting. So I had to like keep checking myself and putting myself back into 2014 when I didn't know this stuff, how interesting it was. That being said, I still loved the characters, which is my transition into talking about the actual Guardians themselves. Let's start with our hero, Chris Pratt. Really, no one has fallen off of my love shelf more than because we all have that shelf of love.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. Sophia, Chris Pratt, Star-Lord. What's his real name in the movie? His character name?
Yeah.
Quill. Peter Quill. Peter Quill.
Yeah.
How did you feel about him?
I hate the word Star-Lord. And it's not a time where I am inclined to call any white dude a lord by any means. And it just bothers me a lot. And I could not buy him as like a womanizer. That was another thing they like really laid on for about what felt like 15 minutes of the movie. It was like, this guy has a lot of sex with a lot of women he doesn't remember, which is no longer a dunk to me. Like, I feel like that's a very like 90s. One of the things that made it feel age was like, he's a hero because he has a lot of anonymous sex. And I'm like, I feel like we've moved a little past that as a society.
Definitely.
But kind of boring. A little boring. Definitely he has that like hunky-dory America's like farm boy kind of vibe. So I can see how for a lot of the country it would be a good call. I think he's reached a point for me where like I cannot see him as not Chris Pratt. And so especially going back to a movie from 2014 when first watching it might have been like, oh cool, the guy from Parks and Rec is like really taken off. And now it's like, oh, that guy.
Right. Yeah. Oh, the guy who broke Anna Faris's heart.
Yes. And also is now like part of a church that is, to my knowledge, problematic at best.
Although he recently said he's like not that religious. I think that was the actual
right after the Supreme Court decision. And I was like, to me, that felt like Marvel was like, say something now. We have a lot of movies coming out. I will not lose this money.
Yeah, I think it is so hard because I think the main reason he's cast is because he's Chris Pratt. He's Andy from Parks and Rec. Like, it's not like he's this amazing actor. We're really dunking on Chris Pratt. I'm okay. Are we okay with this? Are we okay with this?
Just wait until what I have to say about Chris Pratt.
Oh no, it's just around the corner. A lot of it is like, oh my gosh, it's Andy. And it was like, he had I feel like we found the phrase glow up because of Chris Pratt. Like, we were all there for that photo of him with the six pack. We were like, what is this? What's happening? What world do we live in now? It
was like seeing your teacher outside of school is like the feeling he gave me. I was like, huh?
Yeah. Oh. But it is hard to remember how excited we were for it back then. And to know where it all led. But Rachel, what's going on?
Well, I mean,
with this Pratt talk.
Here's the thing about Christopher Pratt is that I think it's very bold to be publicly Christian these days. Just kidding. But to be homophobic Christian is bold. So, we love that about him. He's a dude. He's a dude. I also didn't buy that Zoe Saldana was like horny for him. You know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
She was very much like, I'm not going to fall for it. No, not me. She said that one line. What was it? I laughed out loud. I was like, I don't know about this.
Was it pelvic sorcery?
Yes. Yeah.
Also, he was not moving his pelvis.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the pelvis and pelvic movement. He was just stationary, a little rectangle.
Yeah. And I do believe the shot was from the waist up as well. So
yes.
But yeah, I don't know. He's kind of, I agree. He's like the corn dude. And he's kind of just like got that Midwest vibe. And I feel like I also feel like the womanizer with a dead mom trope is kind of
do you think they're connected?
Like, 2000. Does anyone have anything good to say about Chris Pratt?
You know what? I liked his coat.
Yeah.
That little maroon coat.
Yeah.
It's a good coat.
It was, yeah. It was good.
And there it is. The good coat. The shirtless scene that was so gratuitous and unnecessary looked good.
Agreed.
Yeah.
You know what? Okay, thank you, Chris Pratt. Let's only use him if we need him, the star of the movie. How about, Rachel, going back to you, Gamora, played by Zoe Saldana.
Yes.
Our green queen. How did you feel?
She was an interesting character to me because of the main ones, correct me if I'm wrong, but it did seem of the main ones, she is the only lady.
Yes, in this outing.
And
yes.
It did kind of feel like, to me, it felt like her character was like the voice of reason in a way.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like, this is an informational fact from me. But I liked her. She's cool.
Real cool. She has swords. Yes, Gamora, daughter of Thanos. For those of you keeping track at home, he did kidnap her. That's not her real father. Sophia, Gamora thoughts?
Initially, I was a fan of the idea that, she has daddy issues. She's maybe falling for someone with mommy issues. Wrong plus wrong equals right. I don't know. I saw something there. Did not really pan out, but I was a big fan of her. I mean, she's gorgeous in green. The actor, just Zoe, did a great job bringing to life a lot of lines that were kind of like, I'm the woman, so I'm going to tell you boys not to do crazy stuff, which doesn't really give an actor a lot to play with. And I think she did a great job. I did believe her when she said pelvic sorcery, which is a lot because there was nothing going on there. Yeah, and she tried her best to be horny for Chris Pratt, and she did a good job despite the odds. It was a little annoying for it to be like, she's the woman and she's gonna like keep these people in check, but then also she was kind of the main one, also like fixing the problems. Like she would kind of just go away and do her thing and then come back and be like, where are we at? It did have like mom vibes. Mm-hmm. So it's always annoying to me when like the general patriarchal patterns are still happening in like outer space. I'm like, I love to believe there's like a society somewhere that branched off and like something is different in none of these multiverses. Is it like, and then my other complaint, which has nothing to do with the actor or the character, is there's so many other species that are visually depicted in the movies as just like, I look exactly like a human being, but I'm green. Mm-hmm. And it just feels like a very reductive way to like, I want to see some more trees, some more, like some more variations that aren't just like, I'm a funky color.
Yeah.
That's where I got to disagree. I need less trees. Let me tell you, my least favorite characters are the ones not played by actors. But totally agree with Gamora being more of like the, it's supposed to be like a ragtag group of misfits, but then she's like very competent and capable, but it's just no one likes her because she works with what's that word? People who commit genocide.
Yeah.
So she's like, oh, I'm stuck with these
war criminal.
nerds. Yes. War criminal, wanted, fugitive. Girl, hashtag girl boss.
Hey, queen.
I'm happy she's there. It is disappointing that there's only one woman in the Guardians of the Galaxy. They get two more in the sequels. Because inevitably, her blue sister Nebula ends up joining the team. How we feel about Nebs? Nebula, blue lady, kind of a robot.
I mean, I think I'm also, it's hard to erase what I know about her in the other movies. But in this movie, especially because there were so few women in it, it was nice to, I mean, I guess she's a robot, so I don't claim to know what that looks like. But foil for Gamora, who had to be responsible for and thinking about so many things for all these dudes, to then watch this robot who was like totally brainwashed by her captor and just like acting kind of like a robot and knowing where her character arc goes. I'm kind of a fan of her.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually interested in seeing the other two because I don't know where her character goes, and I definitely would be interested to know more because I agree. I feel like she was a good like contrast to Gamora in a lot of ways, and she's literally blue. So green and blue are different.
Green and blue have been enemies for decades.
Decades.
Team Green.
Oh, Team Green.
Team Green. Yeah.
All right, next Guardian I want to hit up. I mean, my favorite Guardian, WWE superstar Dave Bautista, Drax. Drax, and if I ever wrote him a letter, I spelled Drax with 3 X's. Rachel, did you respond well to his literal take on everything?
Yeah, I thought he was funny. I thought he was fun.
Yeah. He a fun gay man.
Yeah, he was fun. Definitely. That is something I liked about this one in particular, kind of overall, was it was silly, which I liked. It was silly with like a touch of commenting on genocide, you know?
Yeah.
And that was something I kind of enjoyed. I liked about his character, but also in general, like it was like, because I know a handful of Marvel movies that are like, ha ha, he he. But for the most part, they're pretty like serious. This is serious business. And I liked that this one was a good mix of ha ha, he he, and like serious business.
Oh yeah. Yeah. We got to get our ha's and our he's. So that is Drax. I'm going to hop over to Sophia to give us the rundown. Sophia, can you explain what Groot and Rocket are? Who are these people?
I can explain. Will it be sufficient? We will see. Groot is a tree who can simultaneously use roots to strangle people, and also sometimes it seemed shoot wood chips, but then also sometimes with a single blow just cracks into a bunch of pieces like a dry old tree. As a fighter, really not an advantage, it felt. Poor communicator for some. But really, really cute to me. So that's like plus 1 million points. I cannot really explain the other one.
Bradley Cooper's star-making turn as Rocket Raccoon.
Yeah, I've never, I definitely consume Marvel movies the way I would like flip through a magazine in a doctor's office where like what is interesting to me, I will take and I will probably remember it for years weirdly. And then what isn't, I just have these huge black holes. And so I really don't know why he's a raccoon. Is that ever explained?
No.
Okay.
No, it's not. Let me tell you guys and the world how I feel. You cannot get me to care when a cartoon that someone drew starts to cry. I don't care about Rocket Raccoon. I don't care about Dobby the house elf. I don't care about... I'll even throw in the Cowardly Lion. I don't care. It's hard for me. I think that's, the Uncanny Valley situation.
Yeah.
I just can't. It's like he's not really there. I just like, and I bring this up just because, like, you know, with Rocket Raccoon, there's like some backstory that like someone experimented on him, and he's got like all these like metal things in his back, and it's supposed to be like this big, like, oh no, what happened to the raccoon? Like, I don't know. Someone gave it life.
What's hilarious, it has like Frankenstein vibes. Like, oh,
Mhm.
someone experimented on the raccoon to make a super raccoon, which is not even a great idea. Like, raccoons
No.
are very small and they don't have a lot of skills. And also, like, in the world I live in, nobody would give a fuck if you took a raccoon off the street and like experimented on it. I'm not saying they shouldn't. I'm not putting down raccoon rights. I'm just saying it doesn't really seem like people would be like.
Please. The raccoon population is a big part of our listenership on Podcast 616.
I think innocence in adults is not something you see a lot in the real world. So in fiction, I like it a lot. But the raccoon is like kind of an annoying know-it-all sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's the crew, everybody. These are the Guardians.
I do want to chime in about Raccoon and Groot.
Oh, please.
I loved them a lot. Actually, they were my favorite.
We're different.
We're very different, and I think that that's beautiful. I love a good snarky friend, innocent, codependent friend trope dynamic. Very R2-D2 and the other one. Don't remember his name.
C-3PO. We have to say
C-3PO, yes.
Yes.
And I fall for it every time, and I love it. So that's all.
Beautiful. You know what? People are allowed. I know I'm the outlier because people love cute shit. That's why they keep making it.
Yeah.
But I just, you know, I'm here for the raw emotional acting of Glenn Close's hair. And can we talk about just the supporting cast around the Guardians? Glenn Close starring as, I believe her name, Nova Prime. Do you think she knew what she was in? Do you think they told her what this movie was?
I think they told her. I don't think she read the email. I don't think she really, I think she got there late that day and she was like, this hair took so much time and it's giving me a headache. What's the line? She seemed annoyed to be there a little bit. And it did. Yeah. That is a perfect description. It felt like she didn't know
what it was.
She was in, like, and she had so few scenes. I feel like you could have both cut all of her scenes out and the movie would be the same, or you could have cut those scenes and pasted them into another movie and it would just blend in with the movie as long as there was like a vague space theme. She is the category of like older white woman actor that I constantly mix up with each other. Yep. And so to me, when I saw her face, I was just like, oh, I think that lady was Cruella de Vil.
She was. Yeah.
So a sidebar about Glenn Close just in general. Were we all shocked when we found out she wasn't British? Did everyone think she was British or just me? Not in this film. Not this film specifically, but in general. I think when I was young, I thought she was British and she's not.
I'll tell you what. Here's the thing. I never thought she was British, but it is hard for me to call her American. Does that make sense? Like, she feels like she's not from where I'm from. She's from somewhere else. Yeah,
she feels foreign.
Yes, I think that's what I'm horribly trying to say. Yes.
Well, I have a problem where just a lot of white people look British to me. And I think that's largely from how I grew up, was like the white people around me were British and then everyone else was Pakistani. So then to me, I developed this weird fallacy that just white people are British. So I'm constantly battling that in my day-to-day life.
Yes, the same. Rachel, thank you for opening our eyes.
Yes.
Of course.
And speaking of opening your eyes, we're going to take a very quick break. So open your eyes to these messages from our other shows at Press Play Productions, possibly sponsors. And we'll be right back to talk about more Guardians of the Galaxy business. Keep it right here.
Hi, my name is Sam Post, owner of Phenomenal CBD store and PhenomenalCBD.com. That's like phenomenal, CBD.com. Tune in where we talk with experts about how the amazing hemp plant can make a difference for people's health and well-being from the Press Play Podcast Network.
Hey everyone, this is Don Mike Mendoza, the host of Producing While Asian. Join us in Season 2 for more conversations with actors, artists, producers, and more from Broadway, Hollywood, and beyond, every other Wednesday on the Press Play Podcast Network.
Hello, Brooks here with the Books with Brooks monthly book club podcast. Here's how Books with Brooks works. We read one book a month, and then we talk about it. Classics like Stephen King's The Shining, debut novels like We Are the Brennans by Tracy Lang, and tons of other compelling, life-changing stories, one book and 1 month at a time. So come read along with us, and then listen in.
And we're back. Welcome back, everybody, to Podcast 616. We're just getting into the ancillary characters of Guardians of the Galaxy. So I want to talk about Michael Rooker. He plays Yondu, the Blue Man character in this movie, who, for some reason, is from space, but sounds very Southern, like American Southern. How does he do it? Who knows? Rachel, how did you feel about the Yondu character with his blue face, his mohawk, his crazy fang-like teeth? Did it work for you?
What did he do in the movie again?
He was like the leader of the Ravagers. He had that little whistle arrow thing that like shot up a bunch of people.
That's
and
right.
he kidnapped Chris Pratt and brought him into space in the first place.
Yes. See, my attention span is very bad. He's scary, big scary.
Big scary? Yeah.
Yeah.
How did I feel? He big scary.
Big scary. Scary man. Everyone needs the bad guy. And
Everyone,
every film. Once again, Team Green. Don't like the blue guys. And I think that is the premise of the film.
Whoa.
Oof. Wait, the premise of the film is like pro-green, anti-blue?
No. I'm so bad at talking about this film. But yeah, I loved his mohawk too.
Fabulous mohawk. Fabulous.
His mohawk.
I believe in the sequel it can rise. Like a fin, like a fish's fin.
Holy shit.
I know. Girl, you better keep watching.
I know. I gotta watch the other ones. I have to rewatch this one, I think.
Sophia, how do you feel about Yondu? Did you recognize Michael Rooker? Did you ever watch him in anything else?
I don't know who that is, but it's not his fault. I'm very bad at connecting faces and names. So I can see a face and be like, that's that person. I recognize them, but I can't recall the name. And separately, I can recognize the name, but it's my deficit, not his. I really liked the character in that he gave me like abusive stepdad vibes.
Yeah.
The mohawk was like a big part of that because the hair was like kind of losery, but then the way he treated Chris Pratt was like, I feel entitled to like you behaving the way I want you to because I rescued you. It felt like a shitty boyfriend of a single mom that you have to like put up with. So yeah, I wasn't initially expecting to be compelled by him at all. Maybe because of like the craziness of his look. Yeah, I was a fan of him as sort of like a micro villain, I guess we'll call it. Like not the main villain, but sort of a nuisance.
The B plot villain.
Yes.
And going to our A plot villain, dare I say, even though I do think this movie rocks, as the kids say, but I do think the villain of this movie is bad. Yeah. Ronan the Accuser. I don't know who he's accusing. Played by Pushing Daisy's Lee Pace. You couldn't tell because he is covered in not only blue makeup, but like black eye makeup that they kind of smear is that supposed to be like his tears? I don't know. Going to Rachel, can you please, you famously are the greatest impressionist that I know. Can you give us your impression of Ronan the Accuser and how he sounded in this movie?
Well, here's the thing is he was scary. He was scary. He was like, I'm going to murder everybody. I'm going to kill all these people. That was the thing. That was the thing about this. And that's the thing too, is I feel like the message of this movie was like right up. It was right there, you know? Yeah. It was like, who's that guy? We know. Let's read the book. Let's read the history book, you know?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. That was an amazing impression. Sophia, would you like to do your impression of Ronan the Accuser?
Yeah, sure. Have a really broad chest. Broad chest. Mm-hmm, yeah, that was my main reaction. I was like, damn, I'd love to see this person with the armor off. Like, what's going on under there? And then his villain arc was honestly not that compelling. I think also, again, it's another symptom of like having watched other movies. It's hard also to have that, like, to my knowledge, Thanos is introduced in this movie. Is that true?
You see him at the end of the first Avengers movie.
Okay.
And it's like, what are the Avengers? But this is like the first time like we fully see him. And I think he like Josh Brolin talks for the first time as Thanos in this movie.
Yeah. Yeah. And so knowing like what Thanos becomes, I think it was a little bit of villain eclipse for me of I'm big on like, I want the villain to believe they're the good guy and like have enough of a point of view that they really think they're doing the right thing. And I think sometimes with some of the villains, they phone that in where they're just like, yeah, you know, he's doing his thing. He thinks I want to like know the point of view. And I didn't really get much from Ronan. And also I think one of the ways this movie felt aged was, and this is a testament to like Marvel Studio science, a lot of the special effects already look really dated. Yeah. And his face makeup was one of them. I feel like they were just like, well, he can't just be another blue guy because we have to communicate that all the blue people aren't exactly the same race. So then they were like, let's put a stripe.
Absolutely. I will explain Ronan's motivation as Ronan because famously this is an acting podcast. I am Ronan the Accuser. I am part of the Kree Empire. The people on Xandar, led by Nova Prime, played by Glenn Close, banished my people because they wanted diversity and inclusion, but I did not want that. So I will take the Power Stone from Thanos and use it to destroy my enemies. What? Chris Pratt dancing? I'm distracted. You know, that's pretty much his whole
movie.
Gig, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. He hates people who aren't blue.
And he hates dancing.
And even more, hates dancing.
Hates it.
Also, Benicio del Toro, he's there. He's the collector. Beautiful furs, beautiful gowns. Benicio del Toro, the collector. Let's hit up what I think is the most winning part of this movie, which is the soundtrack. It's so special when you find a movie that understands their soundtrack. Dare I say, Hulu's Fire Island achieved this very well. Good soundtrack in that movie. Rachel Relman, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 soundtrack. Did you like it? And if did you like it? And also, what was your favorite needle drop that they did?
Yes. Hold on. The one that comes to mind is David Hasselhoff's Hooked on a Feeling. Mm-hmm. Because, and I would love to tell this story real quick while I look up the rest of it, because I can't remember what song it was, but one of the first songs that played, I was like, I'm buckling in. David Hasselhoff's Hooked on a Feeling, to me, it might have been that Queen, Fleetwood Mac. Yes, of course. So David Hasselhoff's Hooked on a Feeling. I, in the 10th grade, had to make, this was psychotic that my teacher made me do this, had to make a stop motion animation of cells reproducing. And
10th grade?
The song that I made it in the background was David Hasselhoff's Hooked on a Feeling.
Beautiful.
That's all.
With the whole Oooga Chuck-a.
I thought the soundtrack added a lot to like the humor of it.
Oh yeah,
very kind of like silly, which I loved.
Yeah. Sophia, any song stick out to you?
Come and Get Your Love, obviously.
Yes.
Just a great song. A lot of the songs, like it was an interesting mix for my music taste of like classics that no one can really argue are like empirically good songs. And then songs that I'm like, if someone just played that for me, I'd be like, oh, an Americana song. But it was the way they were placed that was like so perfect. They were energetically like having to do with the task at hand, but then also told you a little bit about whoever was like the main emotional focus of the scene. I loved it. I think like removing the soundtrack would push this movie down like multiple levels for me, but the soundtrack elevated it so much. And the idea, I love a mixtape. I love a mixtape, and it feels like its time has passed. But I remember a time when people would make each other tapes, and the tape was like a cherished possession. So while I did think the Dead Mom thing was a little trite, I loved the Dead Mom mixtape angle of like, now this is just something that he holds on to and has all of this deep attachment to. And then the idea that he's playing it when he has to like show up for the universe, I just find that so sweet. And the ending also of like having the next tape, just gorgeous. Overall, beautiful.
Beautiful. Yes. I think when you were saying like the songs tying to a scene, were you referring to Cherry Bomb?
Yes.
I vaguely was aware of that song, but this movie really, I was like, oh, this rocks.
Yeah.
This movie rocks. I think I can't say it any further. It rocks.
Yeah.
My socks. I'm famously not wearing socks right now. I also was a fan of, Hooked on a Feeling was good. Come and Get Your Love. The Pina Coladas moment. Mm-hmm. It's never a bad time to play Pina Colada. That's always going to get a laugh out of me. And my favorite scene in this movie is actually, earnestly, the pelvic sorcery scene. Just when he's sharing the music and they're playing Fooled Around and Fell in Love and like describes Footloose. And then I think that leads to a great callback from Gamora when she's like, we're just like Kevin Bacon. It's just, I don't know. The movie's fun. It's just trying to have fun. Yes, it does star a very, I would say, problematic actor. Yes, the women, they're not there. You think they're there. They're not in this. It's sweet to say they're trying. They're not trying at all. I think it can't be ignored that James Gunn is the director, and James Gunn, oh boy, he needs to go to some kind of seminar.
Is he bad?
I mean, he's not, unfortunately, he's not like, we can't get him, but like his work is not beautiful all the time. If you've seen HBO's Peacemaker starring John Cena, you kind of know what I'm talking about. But he'll always work because he hasn't done anything on purpose that is bad.
Gotcha.
But I think this is a good setup for the Guardians. I personally feel like every time I see them in other movies, I like them less and less. But I like seeing this team up and this forming of like, I just like seeing the beginnings of like people coming together and building a friendship, because friendship is nice.
Mm-hmm.
Friendship is beautiful.
Okay, thank you, Rachel Relman. She said it. Last call. They said, I'm so sorry. The last call for thoughts on this movie. Any lingering thoughts that are out there that we didn't say?
Honestly, I'm going to say that Groot is an icon and a legend. Okay. And
she an icon, she a legend.
And I'm going to go up for them, and I respect our differences of opinion.
The one thing I will say about Groot is I had the affection towards Groot that I would have towards like a really loyal and friendly pet.
Yeah.
Which is really a damnation of the raccoon, that the raccoon was an actual animal and I felt no affection in any pet or human way for it. So
Zero.
I feel you. I did enjoy this film. I did, attention-wise, tune in and out, as evident by some of my answers, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Oh, don't worry. We're going to get a grade at the end of the podcast, so we'll find out.
But it was fun. I'm definitely curious to watch the other ones after it. So I feel like that's a good sign.
I think you should. I think you should check out Volume 2, and then after Volume 2, go to Infinity War. Yeah, we'll do lunch and we'll talk. But there's one last thing we have to do as a collective, as the collective guardians of this podcast. It is time for the Fuck, Marry, Kill. This is our favorite segment of This Week and Every Week, where we pick 3 characters from this movie, decide whether to marry them, kill them, or have a dalliance with them for an afternoon, evening, whenever you like to do it. Just a
I've not heard
dalliance.
that word in so long.
Thank you. I'm from the 1900s. We are selecting from the 5 Guardians as we know them. So we are choosing from Chris Pratt, Star-Lord, Gamora, Drax, Rocket Raccoon, and Groot. We'll be picking 3 of these people to either fuck, marry, or kill. I will go first, give my guests time to think about it. So I will say, I feel like tens across the board, I'm going to kill Star-Lord. Just because I know the actor who plays him and I want to be the captain of the ship. So I will kill Star-Lord. Goodbye. My fuck will be, damn it. Fuck. Okay, damn it. Ugh. That's going to hurt. The tree. I'm going to fuck Groot. Which seems so wrong in so many levels.
What led you there? Is it that there's no attraction for anyone else, or
there's no attraction for anyone else? It feels wrong to fuck the only woman in the Guardians group. I'm like, just to use her like that seems wrong, and I didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
I want nothing to do with that raccoon, because again, he's not there. But Groot, who is also not there, I don't know. It could be fun. He can only say 3 words. So, and also that's nice. I won't get a negative review of my dalliance. So that's Groot. And then I'm going to marry my guy, my man, the legend, Drax, because that's Dave Bautista. I think Dave Bautista looks good out of the makeup. And honestly, he looks good in that makeup with those little red swirls. I love Drax. I don't know if I've made that clear enough on this podcast.
You didn't. I'd love to hear more about that.
I think he's scrumptious. I think he looks good. I love his bald head. I want to bang it like a bongo. I j'adore Drax. And I love how he's so honest. And we need a little honesty in our lives. And
I ship you guys. I like this.
Thank you. Damon and Drax, D&D, So that's me. Let's go to Rachel Relman. Who would you like to fuck, marry, and kill of the Guardians of the Galaxy?
Okay. I'm going to fuck Drax.
Just because sexiness?
I'm going to fuck your husband. I think definitely. Similarly, I feel like this is a gift card, an empty gift card. Similarly,
as you're pointing it at us.
Similarly, I feel like I would say Zoe Saldana, but she's the only woman in the movie, and I don't want to be like, yeah, I gotta fuck the only woman. You know what I mean? Yeah, no. So I'm leaving her out of this. Also, I don't think I would marry her because she was kind of boring. I think I'd be bored.
Whoa.
Sorry.
Damn.
Marry my guy Groot. Love Groot. Going up. He'd be so sweet. And I'm gonna kill Chris Pratt. I gotta.
Yeah. It's our responsibility.
Yeah, totally.
It's like we're the Terminator, and we went to the past for Guardians of the Galaxy, and we know what's gonna happen in the future, and we're like, we have to take him out.
Yeah.
Sophia, what say you?
Okay, well, for the sake of interest, to mix it up, I am not going to kill Chris Pratt. I'm not going to fuck him or marry him. I'm going to let him wander off and do whatever he'll do. I will kill the raccoon.
Smart.
I will. Primarily because I know I could take it. Because these are all superheroes, and I don't believe in my ability to kill the other ones without them first killing me, and then I won't get to fuck or marry, and that would suck. I will, and also I do find him a little bit annoying. Not normally a reason to kill someone, but in this instance, sure. I will fuck Zoe Saldana because you know what? I guarantee you, nobody on that ship is good at fucking. And so, you know, I mean, I will do it consensually and I will do it with love. But I do believe, you know, if I was her on that ship, I would be desperate for some good sex. They're always floating around up there. You know, she's annoyed by all of those people. And I will. Oh my God! Fuck! Wait, who am I going to marry then?
I think you're just left with you have Drax and Groot, and you said no to Chris Pratt.
Yeah, I guess I'll marry Groot. It happened by happenstance. I hadn't thought of it, but I mean, marriage points for Groot would be seems like a great listener. By purview of doesn't really have much to say. I think it would be cool to be able to speak in half code because all he says is I am Groot, but I would come to understand what he was saying and then I could. My side of the conversation wouldn't be code, but his would. We could half talk shit about people in public. Yeah. Also just seems like my grandma famously told me that in order to find a good husband, you should find someone who's just obsessed with following directions, which was not my grandpa. So interesting note. But I feel like Groot, you could just tell Groot what to do. And Groot would just do it. Not to say that's my view of a healthy relationship, but it has its perks. So yeah. I'm going to marry your husband, Rachel.
Amazing.
Well, this sounds like a little soap opera that we got cooking right here, and I am here for it. Beautiful. We have our fucks, we have our marries, we have our kills. Thank you all so much for being on the podcast. Let's do it this way. Rachel, if I was to find you on the internet, where could I find you? Where are you in the world?
Yes. On Instagram, I'm at Rachel Rel, R-E-L, which is the first 3 letters of my last name. And on Twitter, I am at Big Aries, like this astrological sign, baby.
An Aries.
Follow me there.
Fire sign?
Yes, I'm an Aries sun, Sag rising, Groot moon.
Absolutely chaotic. Sophia, where can we find you?
You can find me on all of the social medias at Sofiqui, Sophiqui.
Sophie, lovely. You can find this podcast 616 on Twitter. We're on Twitter at podcast 616P3. That P3 stands for Press Play Productions, our network. Thank you, Press Play Productions. You can find me at Damon Royster on Instagram and Damon Royster 88 on Twitter. Really should combine those. And you can also find me on Twitter at Gay Frazier. That's gay with 2 A's because that's how gay it is. And our producer, Michael, thank you for being here. Michael, what letter grade would you give this podcast that you just listened to?
An A+.
Hell yeah.
Wow.
Hell yeah. I don't fail. Again, Sophia, Rachel, Michael, thank you for being here. Thank you all for listening to Podcast 616. And please remember that with great power comes even greater responsibility.